Good afternoon, guys. It is Brittany, owner and creator of Your Best Friend Bees, and I'm back at it again with another video. So today's video is going to be about how to take care of bees. Not in the sense of being a beekeeper, but in the sense of creating a safe space for bees in your own little area, or if you want to create like a community type thing around it, that's also amazing. That's great. But you know, whether it's a community or one individual, literally anything helps. Any and everything helps. So it's much appreciated from me and your friend bees. But yeah, so I have some notes here for what I'm going to be talking about today. So if you see me looking down quite a bit, that's why. I believe this video is going to be a two-parter. I'm still debating because what I have, it's a very short list, but what I have is pretty informational, I feel like, and some of it's a bit self-explanatory, but I feel like needs to be said anyways, you know? So let's get started. Number one. So I think this is probably like a big thing for me, or it's not the biggest thing for me, but I feel like it's up there in like the top 3 of what I feel like people should be doing or know how to do or spreading this information. So for number 1 would be the cautionary use of pesticides and herbicides. And not saying that they're particularly bad, but in an excess use of it, or depending on the particular chemical makeup that the pesticides and herbicides are, could be detrimental to the bees. So too much of it or a particular type of herbicide and pesticide could kill the bee, or the bee just might not gravitate towards your garden at all. So you would be keeping away the pests that you wouldn't want eating your garden, but you'd also be killing or keeping away the bees that would keep your garden growing. You know what I mean? Because without pollination, you know, it's kind of hard for the next generation of crops or flowers or whatever you're growing to flourish. So some ways to, you know, I think go for like a natural alternative to herbicides and pesticides are just more plants and bugs, surprisingly, right? So as far as plants go, you can buy plants that attract bugs. And the type of bugs I mean are bugs that eat pesticides. So like your aphids, your stink bugs, things like that. And plants that also act as a repellent to those pests as well. And then plants that are considered ground cover as well, to keep bugs from getting into the roots and the stems of your plants. And you know, marigolds and things like that are really good as well, especially if you have like a big mole problem. Because I know a lot of people, when they consider pests, they think about, you know, bugs, but moles, rats, rabbits, things like that, you can plant things to keep them away as well. And yeah, so as far as plants go, that's what you can do. You can have plants that attract pest-eating bugs, or plant plants that repel pests. And as far as bugs go, what you can, I think these bugs that I've listed are things that you can purchase online, like through Amazon or maybe some other type of gardening website or something like that, or even like your local nursery or like Walmart garden or something like that. You can purchase these bugs, or like the larvae or eggs of these particular bugs, to keep pests away. So I'm just gonna list off a couple, definitely not all of them, because there are plenty of different bugs that can keep pests away, but it's like a really long list. So we have green lacewings, lady beetles, so not the ladybug, but the beetle phase that I think that ladybugs go through first. And then assassin bugs, praying mantis, and surprisingly, wasps. So those are just to name a few, definitely not all, because there's plenty more. But you don't have to you don't have to introduce all of these pests at once, because certain bugs only eat certain pests. So if you have a particular problem, so like aphids and things like that, you would like to introduce lady beetles. If you have a caterpillar problem, definitely wasps. I don't think you can, well, you might be able to buy wasp larvae, but I'm not too sure about that, so don't quote me. But I'm pretty sure you can plant certain plants to bring them around. But if you've got like a really bad worm problem, caterpillar problem, they'll show up anyways, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's it for number 1. On to number 2. Number 2 would be making homes, or making homes or a safe space for bees. And that would consist of you creating a bee garden. So that would be planting plants that are native to your area for native bees to not only pollinate the plants that they like, but whatever you've grown in your garden as well, whether it's flowers or vegetables, fruits, things like that. So I would just say to look up what is native in your area and what bees typically gravitate towards, and just start planting those in your garden. Because not only are you helping your garden to grow, you're also giving them a nutritional meal, for lack of a better word. Like, you're giving them the things that they need to survive. You're giving them variety, where most bees don't have that, because I feel like a lot of people don't really plant a lot of native flowers in their gardens. So when the bees do come around, they will pollinate what you have, yes, but when you know what bees need rather than what they'll just take, will have your garden flourishing more than anything else, you know? Moving on to number 3. Number 3 would be making accommodations for the bees, especially native bees or solo bees. And that would consist of you either buying or creating your own bee block or bee house, if that makes sense. So it's like offering bee real estate for lack of a better term, just having like the real estate for the bees to be able to create their hives, whether they're a social bee or a solo bee. Most native bees are solo. There are a few bumblebees that work in a hive like honeybees do, but not many. Most native bees are solo workers. Okay, so moving on to number 4. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but as I said earlier, there are some things on this list that I consider to be on the top 3 of importance, and this is definitely for me number 1, and that is just educating yourself on bees, on what they like, their life cycle, what they don't like, what to watch out for, and pretty much this entire video is just pretty much knowing what you need to do and what not to do to make sure they have a long, healthy life, you know? last but not least, number 5. So this one kind of ties into number 2, but I feel like it's still pretty good information to know regardless of how repetitive it sounds. But number 5 is just choosing native plants over non-native plants. I'm not saying it's bad to have non-native plants, but to me it is a better option to have native plants, because these are things that the bees would more naturally gravitate towards, and it would give them a variety of nutrition rather than them struggling to find something to eat that has a nutritional value that, you know, that the bees need to survive. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for stopping by and listening. I appreciate it. Hopefully this video is not as long as the last ones. I'm trying to keep them kind of short, but regardless, I appreciate everyone's time and attention to the things that I have to say, and everyone being more than willing to, you know, help out our little fuzzy friends. So I appreciate it more than you even know, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.